My name is Jevon. I'm a music producer, I'm a rapper, skateboarder. My passion for music allows me to talk more openly about sex because it's like a freedom of speech. Like some things that I'd feel nervous to talk about, I can just put it on a song. I'm here with my good friends Taff, Peter and Yolanda. Being open with my friends has allowed me to discover more about myself.
So for my first time having sex, I was in a relationship, and that's how I was introduced to like the world of sex, if you like. How was your first experiences?
I was with my ex and she wanted to have sex and stuff, and I was like, yo, I'm not trying to do that right now. I was all nervous, all sweating seriously. And then I was like, I'm not trying to do that. And then she kept on asking. I was like, you know what? Why not?
I mean, you shouldn't really let peer pressure determine whether you're ready or not, because you shouldn't really expect much for your first time. It's your first time, you're gaining experience. And that's why you should be with someone you're comfortable with.
For me, it definitely, personally, was like a helpful moment to understand my sexuality in terms of like sexual orientation. But I know for a lot of people, their first sexual experience will look nothing like their experiences later on, and so it doesn't really have to be this big thing that dictates who you are. There is such a taboo like surrounding sex. What kind of information about sex did you guys have before you had sex for the first time?
I didn't really have much, to be honest. Like, what I did use for information was porn. I was watching it, and then that's how I got information about what sex looks like, how you maybe finger, how you maybe, ejaculate, what that even is. That was my first insight of what this whole thing is about.
Maybe schools might need to do a bit more in terms of like sex education to like prep children, maybe, because like all we pretty much learn in school is like what like a penis looks like what a vagina looks like, and STIs maybe, that kind of thing. But I think there's a lot of like in between, like loads of gaps that need to be filled. I'm just like, wow, there's like lots of stuff that is missed out from in schools, isn't it?
When you were at school, did you even feel like you could talk openly about sex?
I don't know if it's a case of there wasn't anybody, but like we didn't really know or feel comfortable maybe talking to some like teachers. We'd usually go to our friends really, who have done it before, and then we assume that they know everything about it. Parents, but I think it's sometimes quite hard to talk to your parents about having sex, isn't it?
How do you guys feel about condoms? Is that something you also use?
I know I sometimes like experience like a lack of sensation, right? And I think that might be because using the wrong type, maybe. Did you guys know about the many different types of like condoms you can get when you like go into a shop, for example? From the pharmacy, like get different sized ones. I don't know if you guys know that. So now that you know that there are different sizes, would you consider like trying them out, figuring out which one's for you?
Now I'll be able to experiment and see which one would suit me better when I'm in the bedroom, because as you said before, sometimes the sensation, you can't feel it depending on what size you've got. Yeah, I definitely feel as if it's something that I should dive deeper in and get a larger understanding of, so for the next time I have a better experience with condoms. Let's not be ashamed about things like this. Let's embrace it, because at the end of the day, we have to learn about it somehow. So yeah, it's okay to talk about these things.